Oh no.
Oh.
Oh. Ah.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, you guys are gone. I'm still in the server.
Oh, okay.
I survived.
Yeah.
Yay.
Ah.
Now to run to your location and beat you to death. Whilst you can't do anything about it.
But yeah, speaking to all the chats watching then, so we have these armbands, specific. So I think some of the other clans had them as well for their own clan, but the ZF one you could sell at a trader for quite a significant sum of money.
It's like 1,500.
Yeah. So if you're able to take down a member of ZF, get the, if ever you join the server, get the armband and take it to a trader.
And what didn't help me...
We're the easiest targets on this entire fucking server.
Are we?
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah. And what didn't help is I spawned with the ZF one and the Church of Bavon, which was worth 500. So it was not very good.
I
It was
like
very
it.
expensive.
Yeah. I like it when Tom told me about it. So he's standing next to me telling me about the badge, and the moment he mentioned its monetary value, I just shot him. And then he told me it was his real character. It wasn't an admin character. He'd been playing that character for days, and I just ended him immediately.
Oh, you fucker.
I was like, whoops. Oh, dear.
I imagine he spawned back in and just spawned his stuff back in.
Well, I ran to the hills.
No fucking wonder he just
Yeah.
murdered you.
Expecting immediate retaliation.
Oh, now with Tom, you expect patient retaliation.
Yes, yes.
He will wait in the bushes for hours.
You'll wait until you're
Thank
like
you,
standing in
Jobius.
the middle
Thank
of the
you.
road, and then out of nowhere you just hear this bus coming.
Green
With
Frog?
their
I don't know.
meltdowns
I
and
imagine so? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, ZF aren't good at
Unknown
communicating.
error has occurred. Oh,
Thank you, Relo. Thank you very much, Relo.
I might have to restart
So,
the
are
game.
you guys able to share your maps with one another, your map locations?
Guess so. Why?
When you're within a kilometer, if you're in the group, the thing
Oh, I
pops
see what
up.
you're saying.
So how do you group up? Is it just
You need to be next to each other, then you can
Oh, yeah.
fair enough?
join a group.
How you doing, Poro?
Yes.
Good.
Part it'll be good to have you on tonight's crew.
Tonight's crew?
The
Black Week.
Black Week.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
Oh, yes. Don't forget to play my shanty.
No, I will figure out how to pipe that through my microphone, and I will do
Excellent.
it as we ram the enemy.
Hell yes. I contributed.
Well done.
So Soviet, you're wanting the slot as well, yeah? So
On Black
if-
Week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
So there's one left, and I
That's
suppose
7 your time, if you haven't read already.
yeah.
Oh, 7. Okay. Oh, shit. 7?
7.
Oh, okay.
Server's down.
Server's down?
What?
Whatever somebody is doing, can they stop doing it?
Is it down, or
I don't know.
maybe Tom's tweaking something? He probably would have told us before he did, though.
Okay, well, there's only one thing to do then.
Complain on Twitter.
Oh, no. I have a picture for my stream when stuff like this happens.
Okay. Let's wait and see if it comes back. Oh, yeah, connection with host has been lost.
And my Dayz crashed.
Yay.
Stable game. It's a stable game.
Thank you, Sharp. Thank
I
you very
honestly
much.
think it was the worst thing for the mod to do was to go to Bohemia with it.
Yeah,
I also don't know if it's the creator's fault for the game in its current state as well.
It's a mixture. So I've done a deeper delve into the dev blogs as I can. It is partly their fault and partly not their fault. Yeah. So I don't. It's fascinating. The Dayz standalone is just fascinating to see. So the concept of the game evolved way past its initial starting point.
But how can the concept evolve if they had a mod to go by? A fairly detailed mod, that is.
Because the mod was not one mod. It was actually more like 13 to 15 individual types with like different flavors.
Yeah,
And
but
so what we think of as DayZ with its base building and all that is, there are lots of people who are into the classic versions, which are completely turned off by that. They hate the base building and all that jazz. They want the immersion elements. And there are people who like the PvP who find the base building tedious. What I'm saying is that there wasn't just one Daisy mod to build the game from.
Yeah, but isn't it the case that you do like what many people do, and they do their roadmap full of ideas, and if people have a very particular taste towards this game and it's very variable, you have options to turn it fucking on and off.
Indeed, and that was their plan. Their idea was to so basically get the base engine going, get the base game going, and then let modders tweak things accordingly.
No. But why have modders? I mean, if you have a game, right, you have a core gameplay mechanic, right, and there's different aspects to that mechanic.
Yes.
That people could turn on and off. Why rely on modders in a way to finish your fucking game?
Too much. There's no way you could develop all of these individual things at the same time as reworking the whole base engine yourself.
But why were they reworking a base engine? Why were they trying to do... I mean, didn't they already have evidence that the base engine wasn't up to the task?
Yes and no. Again, there aren't simple answers to these questions. They knew that the Take On Helicopters engine was not capable, and they were hoping by bringing in many, so the actual senior engineers of the original engine, that they could tweak it and reverse engineer it. Alas, it turned out, in practice, to be way harder than they originally envisioned. So that they knew that it was going to be hard, but they didn't know it was going to be that hard. They didn't know that the frame rate was going to tank so ridiculously with the Zs specifically.
The thing is, though, I mean, in this game, there is nothing that I'm looking at particularly that screams like it's not the most prettiest of games. It's not the most detailed of games. So I struggle to understand the issue with frame rate.
Objects. So the issue is that everything in the Take On Helicopters engine was it's how to describe it. So rather than have independent objects with their own properties stored in databases, it's all just hard coded. It's all just like, say for example, your character would appear in Dayz, and all of the items in its inventory would just be lines of what was it, SQF?
The table.
So none of it is real. It's all just made specifically for that character and just spawned in as lines of like individual properties of that character. So they would have to strip out everything in the engine and redo it to be this object-orientated setup.
But why were they so focused on that engine? If they were hitting a wall and going, right, okay, this engine just isn't up for the task, why push through? Why wasn't this identified earlier as a major issue? Why weren't they running tests?
They were. They that's the thing. It's not a case that they weren't. They were. That's what the development is. They were trying to sort of branch by branch see, can we tweak this? Will this work?
You can join the game again, by the way.
And the answer was consistently, no, it's not working.
Ooh.
No, it's not working. We have to switch the Zs off. It's not working. And then it reached the point in about 2015, 16, that they went, this is so fucked, we've got to scrap it and get rid of the entire engine and redo it. And so they did. They binned the whole end. They don't want to say this. This is the thing. According to their dev blogs, it's very clear that they don't want to say it out loud. They binned everything. They redid the engine pretty much from scratch. And I think if they admitted that openly, they'd be admitting failure. But they effectively remade the game from the ground up because they realised that this engine is shocking.
But I mean, the engine that they've got right now isn't much better.
It's getting there. Is it not much better though? I mean, animations are running smoothly. They've now got a physics. You can dynamic lighting, particle effects.
The lighting, I'm very impressed with.
It's gorgeous. Have you seen this engine?
Have you gone into a tent and put the windows up and then shone a torch through it at night?
have you broken your legs on terrain recently? I can jump off towers and run multiple animations.
But why
I
is
get
that
injured,
such a
though.
special thing? I mean, most games don't have me breaking my legs when running over terrain, but Daisy did for so long.
I don't trust anything in the air.
Well, what do you mean, though? What's the question?
But it's just, I still can't understand they seem to be fairly content in making the game as bare bones as possible.
Again, because they were hoping that if they can get the engine technology done, their words were, hand the keys to the kingdom over to the modders, and then the modders would put in the things that they really want, you know, the base building and all that jazz.
But that's just the same shit that the people who made DF9 did. They made a base game and basically handed it over to the modders and told them to finish their game for them.
That's the plan. That was their plan. That was Bohemia's plan. But of course, by this point, you've got to consider that the audience had completely turned on them, you know, because most people don't work in development. They don't appreciate these challenges. The dev blog, like, very few people were reading. No one gives a shit. People just saying, finish the standalone. No one cares about your dynamic lighting or particle effects. So they had a situation where the audience turned on them completely.
I get that, but if they were having such an issue with the base engine all along, I mean, this engine doesn't feel much different than the other one. I know you're saying, you know, you're not breaking legs. I suppose the problem that I have is it's the same map I've been playing ever since DayZ first came out. It's the same map, and I don't know. Maybe it is just that. Maybe it is that I can't get the original and its issues out of my head when playing this. I mean, when this came out, I was just like, fuck's sake, they've done it again. It's just a pile of horse shit. And I know we play it now and again, but it's even like the base building. And the last time we played is, you know, there was no chat where, you know, Tom was using clan funds to pay modders to fucking make basic things like fucking in-game chat.
Yeah, that specifically is different. That's not that's to do with a failure of scope. What they were doing there,
right?
So yes, that is where I critique them pretty heavily. So their initial scoping relied way too much on base vanilla DayZ and kind of threw to the one side a lot of the basic stuff that people have come to expect from a survival game. You know, like the chat or whatever. Or fucking base building as standard, you know. So yeah, that's just a failure in scoping.
I mean, we had the base building. What we didn't have was sensible base building. You know, we could build the material, but as soon as the bases were done, we then found out that they could be broken in, you know, 2 seconds by somebody with a hammer.
Yeah.
Just remove the bottom and then crawl in.
Yeah.
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 It's just like, why?
And that would be, I'd say, probably the third problem, which is a lack of quality control. They're a very serious lack of quality control. So yeah, as said, it's the technical elements of the engine just being completely unworkable. Not really their fault. You can only really discover that if you try and fail. But yeah,
I mean,
they did a lot
QA
of.
exists, but
Well, it's more. Well, it's not really QA. It's more just.
But yeah, but I'm more kind of. I don't look at this in a detailed manner. I'm looking at this more as a consumer that had bought a product that was touted to be this stable. You know, it was meant to be stable. It was meant to be this. It was meant to be the mod, the best it could ever be.
Yeah, exactly that.
And what we were sold on was that idea that the mod as best as it could be.
Exactly. And yeah, so half of it, as said, so half of it was technical trouble, and the other half was just genuine, you know, I'm gonna just not very good development, and shitty communication. Their communication was awful. They were banning people on Twitter who critiqued them. Are you aware of this?
They have permission to ban on Twitter?
Like, their individual developers on their own personal accounts, I think, were just banning people left and right. And there was some worse big PR thing. I can't remember what it was now, but they did something really stupid. And it was like, oh god.
Might be embarrassing, put your hand in your face, I don't know these developers, and don't play their game.
Fuck, chat, they did something really stupid. What was it? Fuck, I can't remember.
But yeah,
Thank
I
you, the new
suppose
age.
for me
Thank you,
they're
sir. Ah,
doing it again.
What's going on?
thank you,
I
minion.
don't know.
What are the other people on the server doing? Because this is what happens when you get in a tractor.
Yeah, because I'm
really?
running around just as a really fucked up fireman.
Shit.
But yeah, I don't know. Just
Yeah. You're a frustrated consumer, which is,
yeah, it's the stance I'm taking. I might not be articulate about
No,
it,
it's fine.
and I might have the wrong
No.
approach, but it's just
Ultimately, all of this. So, apologies. It sounds like I'm sort of jumping to their defense. It's not that. But all of this development stuff, no one cares. Everyone just wants a finished game that they can enjoy, and that's not what they were given. So that's the hill that they eventually died on.
Yeah. I mean, I understand development. It's people expect the end product and they expect it complete, but they don't understand what goes into it. I totally get that. But at the same time, it's also commiserate with the time taken. You spend fucking half a decade developing a game.
Yeah.
I expect it doesn't even have to be perfect, but I expect it to be stable and do what it's fucking sold as to be done well.
Yeah.
This mod has added helicopters, but the engine didn't seem to be very stable for that.
No.
Why wasn't it?
Didn't they say that they broke the helicopters were never going to work due to the modifications they made to the engine? Someone said that to me. I don't know who said it originally.
But that's the point again. It's like this people have had to work, modders have had to work to get them put in and flying them. I was flying a helicopter the other day. I mean, it's not the most intricate flying model, but they work
Exactly.
and now it's a different way of transport. Now we have a quick way around the island for endgame. And that was what was good about the original Dayz. You could have helicopters that were picking people up and doing assaults, and it was something to shoot at in the air.
It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to fulfill a role.
Yeah, but the fact that the game didn't the game didn't even have to have them in there, but it needed to have a way of putting them in there. But it doesn't seem to have had that until modders come along and beat their heads against a wall for 3 months just to figure out how the fuck they're actually going to manage to do this.
Yeah. So when you actually have, so I'm not trying to delve too deep into this development rabbit hole, but when you have tickets in a database, right at the beginning of a project, when you sit down and you write a bunch of very high level, like, what do we need our product to do? Our car will be red, or something.
Yeah. What is the objective we're aiming for? What is the core gameplay loop in a survival game? Well, it's gather materials, use materials to do something fun, use that fun thing to gather more materials until you have the end game of, I have a bunch of end game things, end game guns, we've got a base, and that's your loop. Okay, you're going to have player interaction, but, that's devolved at this point to fucking shoot on sight, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But there's your core loop, but their core loop seemed to be when the game came out, okay, here is an island, here are guns, go fucking kill each other.
Yeah. So
what were we fighting over?
Yeah. So when it comes to sort of gathering requirements and sort of getting them all in your database, writing tickets, you start off with these really super high level tickets. Like, they're so high level that anyone can read them, even the least technical individual. I said, our car is red, or this car has 4 wheels or something. So stupid, like babies first, right? And then what you do there is you groom it down. So you take that ticket and you start grooming, and you sort of break it into 2 tickets, then into 10, You're breaking them down individually until eventually
you have a goal and you're splitting it down into
actionable parts that can be handed out to developer A. You take this and work on that.
It's the exact same how we do a building. It starts off with here is the building shape.
Yeah.
Let's a bit of paper, right? And all we'll do over the top of it with sketch paper is we'll start drawing dots, and those dots are the support columns, and then we'll draw lines that join those dots. Those are the beams holding up the floors.
Yeah.
And then you start looking at where the windows are, maybe, and then you look at where maybe the stairs are going, and it flows on from there. So, no,
Yeah.
I understand the approach of starting with a high level.
servers down again.
What is going on?
Buggered. But yeah, so my point, so just trying to reach my point, is that all of these individual tickets that you're breaking down, they all serve the main user story, or your main, which is a big part of your user journey. So in this case, the car must get from A to B. That's the main thing. And you need to make sure that the first things that you develop just achieve that. You need to make sure that you are achieving. It's not about completing every single ticket on this single, every single sub-ticket of this ticket to make an amazing thing, the best car ever. No. It's about getting from A to B. It's about just getting the user. Can they get in a fucking car and get down the street to buy some whatever from the shops? So yes, effectively, what this translated into Dayz, this means that you don't need to focus on making all these fancy repair mechanics and refuel mechanics and radiators and car batteries, or even a realistic moving vehicle that people can, sit in. You just need something that will move people from A to B so that they can link up and play with their friends.
Okay, here's a quick one, right? Where the fuck are the bikes in this game?
Yes, exactly that. So what you're talking about there is called a skateboard. It's damn. Sorry, I'm delving down into this development hole. So imagine your client comes to you and says that they would like you to build a car, right?
I tell them they're in the wrong office.
Yes,
but, yeah, okay.
but they want you to build a car. So you do what I'm just describing here. You break down, okay, what do we need? So it gets us from A to B. Oh, it keeps us nice and dry in the weather because it's got a sunroof. You break down all these things that you want the car. How many wheels do you want? 4? Okay, 4 wheels. So you break it down into its components. But you look at the list of tickets that you've got, and you realise that there's a stage before the car, a skateboard. You can just give the client a skateboard. They don't want the skateboard. They don't. They're like, I'm paying you to make me a car. Why are you giving me a skateboard?
What's the objective here?
But the objective is to get you from A to B. Exactly. So you give them the skate. Hell, there's even one before that, a bus ticket. So it sounds crazy because they're coming to you to buy a car, but you give them something that will achieve the basics of their user journey.
Yeah.
And then here's the important part. As they start going on the bus or going on the skateboard, they're giving you feedback. Go rejoin. So they're giving you feedback, and you're learning. The whole part of this is that it's a big learning exercise where they're going, this is good. I don't like. Oh, can I have this feature or maybe this? And you're learning as they're doing, and they're engaged and they're enjoying your product. And eventually you discover that here's a requirement that they mentioned that we didn't even think of. Because you're having the client use this thing, and you're sort of learning from them and gathering more accurate requirements that you could never get straight from the beginning. If they just have, because it turns out they might not want a car after all. They want a motorbike.
Aye.
I see. I've joined the next episode of the ZF podcast.
And that was Soviet's TED Talk.
Yes,
Thank you for joining.
What you said, the scrap bike in Dayz, that's the bus ticket. That's the thing that just gets the players from A to B.
But that's it. Rather than having to hoof it, the scrap bike should be the easily accessible transport that has no storage.
There's a step before the bike. Auto run.
Yeah. but
Daisy doesn't have auto run.
You see what I'm saying? As in, there was a basic requirement there in Bohemia's Jira, in their database. There is a ticket that says vehicles, like super high level, and it's so easy to satisfy just by putting in something like really basic that doesn't have textures, it doesn't have parts, it doesn't even have sound effects or physics. It just gets players from A to B so that they can play Dayz with each other. And that needs to be the first thing that you develop, because otherwise the players just get disengaged and fuck off.